Hi and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Good evening, as I always say. Hope you guys have been having yourself a great day. And we are here today for another show. And we've got a very special guest on today. We've got Alex from
Thank you very much.
TV. How you doing, Alex?
I'm good, mate. When you said a special guest, I was thinking, who else has he got in? Because it can't be me. Repping the Kop TV, man. We're here. Thanks for having us.
No, it's good to have you on here today, mate. And you know, you must be very happy at the moment that football's coming back, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the null and void chat, the null and void brigade have all gone home. I actually quite missed them, to be fair, because it was quite entertaining just hearing the wild stories. Well, it was just hearing the wild kind of conspiracies go around that Liverpool won't win the league. Of course we're going to win the league. If they give it to us or if we win it outright, at this point I'm not too bothered, but we are going to win it, and that is a fact that everyone quite needs to accept now.
Hold on. Just steady on. It's not definitely come back yet, you know what I mean? So just steady on. But I mean, I was actually one of that brigade. Null and void brigade. I know you
were.
Oh, that's why you're saying it.
I know you were, bro. Last time I saw you, it was pretty much, you were at the front of that brigade.
So you didn't feel that you felt that you should, if the season weren't finished, you should be just handed it then?
No, I don't want that to happen. If it is the only option, then obviously I'll take it. But I am totally against that notion. I'd rather I mean, all we need is 2 wins. But potentially, if City draw their first game, all we need is 1 win. So, like I said, man, it's coming. Whatever Duckworth, Lewis, or whatever method you want to talk about, it ends up with us at the top each way. So, listen, I've been so hopeful about it continuing, and it looks like it is now. Touch wood, obviously safety first before anything, before we even talk about football. But I'd like to think that all the procedures will have been taken place to allow for a safe return. And if that means that we can see people saying Liverpool, the unofficial PL champs already, it's great. People just can't, But I'm very, very, very mindful of the fact that this is way bigger than football, and it's way bigger than Liverpool. So that's what I keep remembering.
But if it's not completed, you'd be happy for it to be just handed to you?
Well, if it's not completed, I mean, they're not going to void the season. Like, that's just not an option from what I've heard. The only options are you continue it, and return it in a safe way, and we play the games behind closed doors, or you do some kind of average point system. And if it does come down to the, if things do get worse, which touch wood they don't, and they say, look, we've got to relegate 3 teams, we've got to put 4 in the top 4, Liverpool win the league, and that's just it, then you'd have to take that. But
no, that'd be scandalous. If it came down to that, no, I'm not having it. If it came down to that, then you void it or you cancel it. If you can't complete it, listen, I'm hoping, and I've been saying all along, I want it to be finished. Liverpool become the champions. Whoever gets relegated gets relegated. Whoever gets in the top 4, top 6, fantastic, right? But if we can't finish it, I don't like this average point. That's when people talk about the integrity of the game, that's when it's gone out the window, when you're just awarding people things for the sake of it. You can't just give it to Liverpool because they're 25 points ahead. You have to give it to them because they've won it. So if it was unable to be completed and they hadn't won it, you got to just start again next season.
But the reason why I think you don't like the average points thing is because if you work it out, and there was a picture of this on Sky Sports earlier, I mean, first and foremost, voiding is just not an option. They're going to complete it, whether it's played.
Well, I know they are, but I think that would be wrong. It would be wrong if they did that. If they turn around and they just handed it out, right, to Liverpool, I think, and sent teams, forget Liverpool because we all know they're going to win it, sent teams down based off of a point system, I think that would be wrong. That would be seriously wrong. So,
but it would be Liverpool's fault if they had to accept it.
It's not nobody's fault, but it would be wrong.
Yeah, maybe. And listen, I'm in agreement with you. I don't want that to happen either. I'd rather us win it. you know what we were like, probably. We've lost 2 games in 2 years. Like, if people can't at least say that Liverpool, you know, if they haven't won it already, I know technically they haven't won it already, but it's whatever way you want to look at it, we win. So, you know.
No, but I wouldn't want it like that. I wouldn't want it just given to me.
But listen, when you've gone 30 years as well, you beggars can't be choosers. You take what you get.
You get it, and can you imagine the banter from United fans and that? They'll be straight on here, be going, asterisks against your name. No, you didn't win it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It would be horrible. And Arsenal fans as well. Like, you've already got one. I mean, we were supposed to do a show, weren't we, about the Invincibles? Remember, we planned it.
Yeah.
And then Watford come and beat us 3-0. So that ruined that. So thanks to Watford for that.
Well,
a lot of stick from Arsenal about not getting the Invincibles, but you know,
you were never gonna get that one, mate.
I don't know. I thought you were sweating, man. I seen you sweating.
I weren't sweating.
You were sweating.
I knew you'd slip up somewhere along the way, man. You know what I mean?
Love using
that gold one's hard to get, you know.
It's hard, listen. I'm
gold.
gonna come on at Arsenal Fan TV and you know, flag them off. Like, I've got the utmost respect for Arsenal as an institution, a British football club with the history, definitely the 3rd biggest in the UK. Great team. Bobby, I don't want to come
on about 3rd biggest in the UK.
Okay.
You see, you started already.
No. So what is it then? If you're not, where are you then? 2nd or what?
What, biggest club in England?
Yeah. It has to.
What are we going off of size of club?
No, we're going off of
and everything. I'd say we're probably level. Level. Us and you.
Oh. How can we be level when we've won the Champions
League? The biggest club is obviously United at the moment, right? When you talk about biggest club, how are you? Are you just going on purely off of trophies, or are you?
Trophies, Liverpool have 43, United have 41.
Yeah, so if you're going off of trophies, yes, it would be. But if you're going off of just sheer size of club, sheer, you know, especially in the modern era. I mean, remember, this is going to be the first time you've won the Premier League.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm very hungry for it to be given to us in any way possible. But if you're looking at the biggest teams, I mean, come on. Listen, I've got a very soft spot for Arsenal. I grew up around Arsenal fans. I watched their Invincible season as a kid. Very impressive, and I do have a soft spot for them. But if you've not ever won a European big trophy, bro, in terms of like how other teams view, so like someone in, Italy, a Juventus fan will look at England and say, yeah, United, Liverpool, United.
No. And I think they will now after last season. I think in the modern era, in the last, say, you know, look, they'd say Man United, Arsenal. Because you ain't won it yet. This is the first time you're going to be winning the league.
Sure, but where's the
years?
Where's your champion? I didn't want to
get. No, I know. Don't get me wrong. You've won the Champions League, and we've never done that, and that's a unbelievable achievement, right? But I'm just saying, if you went abroad right now, well, maybe not right now because you won that Champions League last season. That's changed it, right? But up until then, if you went abroad and you said to a fan, which clubs in England are the biggest, they would have said Man United and Arsenal.
I see.
They might even have put Chelsea before you because you haven't won the league. Face. No. I'm just saying. If a fan I'm not saying that Chelsea are bigger than you, but I'm saying they might have done because in recent times you haven't done nothing in the league. And what it is, if you go abroad, and I'm just saying it as it is. If you go abroad and you speak to fans, what they watch week in, week out is the Premier League. Yeah.
Robert, you're getting
week out
in these comments right now.
Week in, week. I know I'm going to get a lot of stick off of you, of Liverpool fans, but I'm just going. This is the reality of it. Week in, week out, they're watching the Premier League, not the Champions League, the Premier League, right? So that's what those are the clubs that do well in the Premier League year in, year out are the ones that they look on and say, they're the biggest club. But even though we ain't won nothing for a long time, but it's been 30 years since you've won it.
I'm aware of that, and we're probably 2 or 3 weeks away from getting rid of that fact.
It's a turning point. It's a turning
point. 6 times. That's all I need. Like, if they want to watch class football, they tune in on a Tuesday, not not a Thursday, G, and you might not even get.
But but remember, you used to be a lot on a Thursday as well.
I've got time on that. We've done the graveyard shift on that channel.
Yeah, and remember, the league, you're winning it now for the first time in 30 years. So remember,
but it's also a fact that to be a great European club, truly one of the greats, you have to at least have won a UEFA.
Yeah, we should have won a Champions League by now. A club the size of us, we should have won a Champions League.
Travesty, especially, speaking objectively now, it's not Liverpool v Arsenal. I mean, I'm looking at this from a subjective point of view now. So once you invest into that stadium and with the players that you've bought and unfortunately let go, if someone had said to you when you got the Emirates in 2006, would you have taken one Champions League final since 2006? And we're in 2020 now. Of course you wouldn't have taken that. There's no way you would have taken that. You would have said, it would be great to get to two, maybe win one. Even Tottenham have got to a Champions League final since you. So listen, it's you can go back and forth all day about you've not won a league, you've not won a Champions League. We're never going to resolve anything, are we?
But you ain't gonna season up.
That's true.
Let me do a couple of comments. So Carol says, Robbie, need your opinion. Klopp did great things with Dortmund and came to Liverpool with bags of experience and a good reputation. Would you give the same amount of time, 5 years, to Mikel Arteta to turn things around? He won't get 5 years. I know you know what fans are like, but he's definitely got to get at least 2 to 3 years. He has to, because that's how much it's going to take time. And we're going to go on to that, because this is one of the things I'm really intrigued to ask you about. Just before I do ask you about that, because that, the title of the show, I want the blueprint that you guys have employed to become the best team in the country right now. But just before we get to that, when Liverpool win the league, when it starts back, how are you going to feel about the fact that it's still going to be strange, isn't it? Because you're not going to be able to celebrate it properly.
100%.
You're not going to be able to, the streets would have been, that would have been a magical moment for you guys, isn't it? The streets would have been lined with people. Yeah. You're not going to even be able to celebrate it properly, are you?
You know what? It's funny you say that. The last Liverpool game there was the Atletico home leg, which we lost. And I remember going into the stadium that day and something just didn't feel right. And I just got off the phone with one of the regulars on the Kop TV, Tony Kop, who's game for anything. He'll turn up rain, wind or shine. And he's calling me going, Alex, lads, don't know, it's a bit eerie, there's a lot of people dying for this coronavirus. And then he scared me. And then he said, I'm not coming tonight, lad. And then 10 minutes later, I see him turn up in the stadium. So that was a load of rubbish. But what I have to say is, even then it was extremely eerie. At the time, Madrid was the second highest outbreak city.
That was crazy when they did that.
Coming to Liverpool, not one check. And then I stayed over and got the train back to London the next day. Madrid fans everywhere drinking on the train. So there's a lot of people that actually say that game happening is the reason why there was a COVID rise in Liverpool, which is madness if you think about it.
Yeah, I remember at the time.
You would, I think, Arsenal got cancelled the night before that, I think.
At the time, I'm like, how can... Because remember, Spain had it sort of harder before us. And I was like, how are they letting Madrid, where it's so bad at the moment? Look how many... And they brought loads of fans as well, didn't they? And I just thought that was crazy. They, obviously, at the start of this thing, weren't taking it seriously. That's why we've been hit that hard. But
what you're saying...
It's going to be weird, isn't it? Not celebrating it.
What you're saying there is heartbreaking. But if we have to delay it for a later time, then so be it. All that matters, Robbie, and I have been precious about saying this, because I was very much in the idea of no, we have to celebrate this properly. There has to be 1 million people on the streets. We have to make this bigger than the Champions League celebration. But now, after taking the emotion away and being more realistic, let's just win it. And then we can, there'll probably be some 3D virtual headset you can put on and you're on a bus and you've got the trophy. All that will get patterned in the next month anyway.
Celebrate on Zoom.
Yeah, that will happen. We'll have some virtual reality thing where you can, have a beer with Klopp and celebrate on that's just the way the world's going. But of course, like you said, I'd much prefer the face-to-face business.
Does it dampen it down, the fact that...
No, I'm not going to lie.
There's a big gap. You had all that momentum. You were charging towards it unstoppable. First of all, then the Watford defeat. Then, as you said, then the last game is the defeat against Atletico, even though it's not in the league. And then a massive gap to you. Does that dampen everything?
Yeah, it does, man. It does. Do you know what? I even think losing to Watford, I remember saying to you, and I told you this at the time, you said to me, oh, you must be gutted. And what did I say? I said, yeah, I am. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it doesn't matter about that. Like, it is what it is. But like I said, just give it to us. We need to win it. If we win it outright, great. If they have to give it to us, that's it. We'll celebrate at a later date. But yeah, it does dampen it. I'm not going to lie to you.
Another comment here. Oksana says, I'm from Belgium, and because of recent history, legendary players, we would mention Man United and Arsenal more. However, it's not a fact. United and Liverpool are the biggest clubs in England. But you heard what he said there.
I heard what he said. You hearing what every man is saying in the comments, bro? Every man here is saying Liverpool's. Come on.
Not this guy. This guy says, I hate Liverpool.
Put that on, man. Love it.
But Nathan said, deluded Robbie back again. Nathan's been on my case the past few days, man.
Has he got a picture of you there as well?
Syed says, Robbie, Arsenal have fallen off and aren't even the biggest club in London. You haven't won the league title you can tell he's not an Arsenal fan. You haven't won the league title in 16 years. Winning FA Cups, which nobody cares about, doesn't make you a big club. I'm going by when you go, I go abroad with Arsenal every year when they go to the French. And one of the, three biggest supported clubs in this country. It's a fact. Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool. All right, maybe the order might be different. I think Liverpool now, but I'm just saying that, give an example. Is like it's hard to say. It's hard to separate it. But worldwide fan bases, they're similar.
I mean, due to us signing Mane and Salah, I would say our fan bases and in Brazil, because we've got Alisson, Fabinho, and Firmino. We've had them now. I think genuinely, I think shirt sales for Liverpool must be the highest we've ever had ever.
Probably, well, success. Obviously, success brings the team to the fore even more.
I mean, look at Nike. Why would Nike want to mess with us if we weren't on the edge of becoming the biggest team in the world? I mean, we can all have opinions and stuff, and I'm not 100% a facts man. I think facts only do tell half the story. But one of the facts that I saw the other day was 82 points Liverpool have got from the first 29 games. That's the most any European side has ever got in history. So you have to, you have to put respect on that, really.
Yeah, well, he's right from the start of the show in the title. We sort of alluded to it, and I wanted to ask you now. One of the things that Liverpool have done, and they've done brilliantly, is they've, like that guy said earlier in the comments, they haven't just gone out there and just
that's not
£300 million on players all at once. They haven't done a Chelsea or a Man City, or they've built this over a period of years, and now they've built such a machine that they've got the best team. They all conquering, all win it. Now they run off of a similar model to what Arsenal are trying to operate, which is that sort of self-sufficient model. You sell a player, we bring a player in, we sell a player, we bring a player in. How is it? How have you guys done this? Because remember, before Klopp came in, Liverpool were in disarray. I mean, I'd say they were in a much worse position than what Arsenal were, for instance, when Wenger left. They were a mess, weren't they? All right, you'd won that Champions League, but apart from that, in the league, you had that one season with Brendan Rodgers. But apart from that, up until Brendan Rodgers came, actually, it was an absolute mess, wasn't it, at Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean...
And then Klopp's managed to come in, got rid of a lot of players, and turn it into... How has he done it?
Do you know what? I think it harps back to Klopp really reimagining what the initial Liverpool blueprint is. And that blueprint comes from the foundation laid out by Bill Shankly in 1965 when we won our first FA Cup. And then his kind of backroom staff of Bob Paisley, Ronnie Moran, as Shankly fades away, Paisley comes through with Moran and Joe Fagan. And when Paisley fades out, Fagan replaces him. When he fades out, it was Ronnie Moran who came in and Graham Souness, Kenny Dalglish. So we've always had this boot room, which has been essential to Liverpool's success, which goes back right to the 60s. And I think Klopp, what he's done is when he came in, if you actually remember, in one of his first interviews, he said, we'll win the league within 4 years. And that's pretty much what he's done, maybe, give or take a year. He joined October 2015. So he's had 4.5 years in the job now. And what he's done for me, I mean, Brendan tried it. Brendan had a bloody good go of it. And I have to say that 13-14 season, up until that point, was the best season I've seen Liverpool play football. In terms of the amount of goals we scored, Suarez had a crazy season. And he did, he tried to bring back the red nets that Shankly had when he was at Anfield to intimidate the teams more. He brought back the first ever "This is Anfield" sign to the tunnel. He tried to bring back that boot room, but at the end, the holy trinity of what Klopp calls it, the fans, the players, and the manager, wasn't connected enough. And what Klopp has done is he always goes on about being mentality monsters and the holy trinity. He has got the fans, the players, and himself singing off exactly the same hymn sheet. And he has this formula now that has worked for him perfectly for, I'd say, at least the last 18 months to 2 years. And he's just brought about the initial blueprint, which is, like you said, promote from within. If Brendan Rodgers was in charge, does Trent Alexander-Arnold ever get a chance over Nathaniel Clyne? Probably not. But Klopp comes in, puts Trent in, and now we're talking about someone who single-handedly, almost, Robbie, has reinvented how fullbacks play football. What he's done is incredible. Would he have been able to do that with any other manager? No, because the Holy Trinity wasn't there. That's what Klopp's brought back. And when you talk about this blueprint, it seems quite, a brash statement. Can Arsenal replicate Liverpool's blueprint? It's difficult because the Liverpool blueprint is so unique to anyone else. We haven't really copied anyone. We've done everything our own way. And that's what Klopp's bringing back, that original boot room mentality of pass, move, and play your heart out for the fans. And that's what is so clearly happening now. And
you knew this one was going to come in. Kenneth Lynch says Liverpool nearly won the league under Rodgers, only for the slip up. But going back to it though, because I'm trying to draw parallels to what we need to do.
Sure.
Right. So Arteta's come in, and the first thing he spoke about, very similar to Klopp, was reconnecting the players with the fans and changing the mentality of the players. He talks about it every single time.
Yeah,
he talks about that, and that's very similar. That's what Klopp did even before he started buying players, wasn't it? It was all about that reconnection.
Yeah. I mean, what can you say? Like, since he's come in, every player, this as well, Robbie, every single player will die for that man. There's not one player that doesn't want to be adored by that man. And what Arteta is trying to do, and you have seen shades of it early on. And listen, you can't not have something about you if you've been sitting next to Pep for the last 4 years. I'm sorry. Like, that gives him an edge over anyone else.
Putting the cones out, as Claude was saying last night.
Putting the cones out, even if it's picking the bibs up, putting the tees out for the lads. You're sitting in the same room with Guardiola for 4 years. I'm sorry, but you're going to pick up stuff. And genuinely, I do hope that Arteta can bring back them days for Arsenal. Because like I said, Robbie, when I was growing up, at the age of 10, you lot did the Invincibles. And I think at the time, you couldn't look past Arsenal as the best team in England. And I think you will get back to that stage at one point. Whether that's with Arteta, I don't know. Will he be given the time? I mean, Klopp has had a long time, but you could always see the vision. And you always knew where he was trying to end up at, which he said in his first interview was winning the league. So if he does that, he's completed his mission. Arteta wants to change the mentality of the players. That's a big job, Robbie. Because as you know, some of them players, even that you have now, and I'm saying this from looking out, some of them players just, one, don't deserve to be at a football club like Arsenal Football Club. They don't play with enough passion. They don't put the work in. But second of all, to change the mentality of someone who probably is quite comfortable picking up the wages accepting mediocrity. The change in the mentality, that's the hardest bit. And that does take 2 or 3 years to do.
Yeah, well, one of the things, and we're going to come on to that, I'm just sort of get this check because Danit is saying, Alex, with your boxing knowledge, who do you think would win the following bouts? Ozil versus Pepe, Socrates versus Kolasinac, and Keown versus Adams.
That's some big fights. That's some. I mean, thanks, Danit, for knowing that I have a bit of boxing knowledge. I thought that was going to be Laurie who's popped up with a boxing
Pepe
question.
knocks out Ozil.
Yeah. So I mean, Pepe finished. I actually had this debate on my show, Kolasinac. Who would you want to back you in a tunnel bust up? And the options were Kolasinac, Joey Barton, and a couple other man. And I said,
man,
100%. But Keown Adams, that's a fucking tough one. That one there.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a draw.
Adams got the brute strength, but Keown's got the psycho mentality where he'll just.
Yeah, I think that's a draw. It ends up a draw. That fight. What I was going to say to you is that when Klopp came in, there was a lot of players he shifted out, wasn't it? I mean, that team doesn't look nothing like. Who were the players he got rid of at the time? Because again, as I say, I'm trying to draw comparisons to us at the moment to when he came in. So there was guys like Moreno and that who you guys used to have a pop at, and that Milne. I mean, talk about some of the players he shifted out from that original team when he came in.
I mean, there's a screenshot of the first 11 he put out against Tottenham. Mignolet, you had Skirtle, you had Moreno, you had Flanagan played, you had Joe Allen, Emre Can, Lucas Leiva, you had Danny Ings was there at the time, and Origi started that game. I think Milner might have started it, but let's just say, for instance, that in 4 years Arsenal win a Champions League and a league. Let me tell you now, if you're trying to recreate this Klopp thing, you will not recognise your team in 4 years.
Yeah, so that's what I'm.
Two different things. Yeah,
right. That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make, right? Because he shifted out a lot of players. He literally, and this is going to be a similar thing, I think, with Arteta, because there's a lot of players that are there that they're going to have to go in order for us to step up. But he can't get rid of them all at once. And obviously, with this whole coronavirus thing, it makes it even more difficult for him. But he's going to have to rely at first on getting the best out of them. And then as time goes by, bringing in the players that suits how he wants to play, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what Klopp's done. If you look at the squads from 2015-16, I mean, that kind of goes out the window because it was Brendan Rodgers' squad. But if you start from 16-17 and then 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, you can see the dead wood slowly getting chipped away every year until he has what he thinks is his dream 11. And if you ask Klopp now, how far is this team away from your absolute dream 11? Genuinely, I don't think he'd say very far at all. But like you say, it's taken him 4 years to get to this point where he's got. I mean, listen, there's still dead wood there. Lovren's got to go for a starter. He has to go this summer. I'm not accepting him staying at us anymore. I'd rather get Connor Cody back and have him as a fourth choice backup instead of Lovren. So Lovren's got to go. Then you could look at someone like Shaqiri. Could he go? So there is one or two. I mean, Moreno only left in the summer last year. Let's not forget he was out on loan, so he stuck around for a long time. But Karius is coming back because Besiktas don't want him. So Karius, Lovren straight out the door. Shaqiri maybe, Lallana maybe this year.
So it just goes to show, innit? It takes. We're going to have to be patient with Arteta because it takes time. And then the other thing now that when I look at Klopp, because seriously, that's why I look on it and I say it's the blueprint really. Because the other thing I look at with Klopp is that he didn't really bring in mega names, does he? All right, maybe if you take Van Dijk out of it, because everybody I think at that time knew Van Dijk was a top centre back, but when he brought in Mane, when he brought in Salah, especially in particular Salah had failed at Chelsea, went to Roma, was playing really well at Roma, but you wouldn't consider.
He only scored 17 goals in that season at Roma, or 19 goals, I think.
Yeah, and you wouldn't consider Salah a world beater, would you? I mean, when Salah came in at Liverpool, what were you guys saying when he first came? The very first time he came in.
So Mane had already been there a season when Salah came in, and we saw what Klopp had done with Mane in 1 year. So at the time, what I was thinking was 35 mil on Salah. All I know really is his Basel days, his Chelsea days, and his Roma days. Is he worth? I mean, listen, 3 years ago, 35 mil was still quite a lot of money. But now you could probably just about get.
It weren't mega money, and it's not like you paid. It's not like you went out and spent 70 million on a striker.
Exactly. So in terms of risk, we didn't look at it as a huge risk, but we said it's enough money that he's got to start performing like that instantly. And then the first game he scores, second game scores, third game, and then slowly over the season, Klopp transforms into an app. I mean, at that point, 2017-18, he scores 32 goals, highest ever tally in the Premier League. Shares the golden boot the season after with Mane and Aubameyang. It's not been bad for 35 million at all. What a signing!
And that's what I'm saying, right? If you look around the team, because every day Arsenal fans are coming on here and they're saying, Robbie, we need to spend 100 million on that. We need this player. We need, all big names. But even when I look around Liverpool, Robertson, bought him from Hull,
8 million.
Now, if this summer Arsenal buy a player from Hull, there'll be a lot of fans going, what are we doing? Hull, what's going on? I remember this morning I was talking about Emil Smith-Rowe and I was saying how well he's doing out on loan at Huddersfield, and some guy in the comments said, oh, come on, man, he's playing in Mickey Mouse Championship, that he should be the best. And I'm like, no, hold on, players have got to develop. So they bought in Robertson from Hull. He's the best left back in the league now.
But
so what has done to he's getting the best out of all these players, isn't he? And he's bought players that suit his system, obviously.
Of course, people say we're system merchants. I don't like that. But what you said about Klopp is spot on. He doesn't buy stars; he makes them. You look at the signings, like you say, apart from Van Dijk maybe, and maybe Alisson, you wouldn't go, well, Robertson for 8 mil. Who else have we got that's been under Klopp so far? I mean, genuinely, he hasn't really made a bad signing, and that's the recruitment and the business behind the recruitment has been second to none. How we sold Coutinho for 142 or 145 and replace him with Van Dijk and Alisson and win the league, win the Champions League, unbelievable business. But what going back to your question with Robertson, what you have to understand is even when we bought him, much like Emil, you were saying going out on loan, Robertson didn't start for about 3 months before he came, after he joined Liverpool. He still put Moreno in. And I was like, how have you just bought Robertson and you're still playing Moreno? But Klopp knows when the player's ready. And Robertson wasn't ready to start 100% when he joined. But now look, that little 2-month layoff before of, wait, there you'll get your chance, has paid off massively. And 8 million on probably the world's best left back. Only Klopp could have done that. I genuinely don't think Pep Guardiola could have. I mean, Pep would never spend 8 million on a left back. Let's face it, would he? Spend 8 million.
This guy says no shortcut to glory. And the other thing is as well, this guy John Day says Smith-Rowe looks quality as long as he stays fit. The other thing is as well, is with the Klopp thing, is that he's done that without getting millions and millions invested, because what Liverpool have been able to do very well is you've had a lot of assets to sell. So when you bought Van Dijk and you bought Alisson, you've had assets in Coutinho, Suarez, because you have lost quality players as well, haven't you?
Yeah, listen, we've struggled, man. Like, apart from this very successful period, the only time I can compare this team to a previous one is 2008-9. We finished second. We're 2 points behind United that season in the league. What happens? We sell Xabi Alonso. We go back 5 steps and we buy Aquilani, he's not even fit to step on the same pitch as Alonso. And then like Suarez, he has a great season, and then we sell him to Barcelona. I think this is the
Sterling as well.
Sterling, exactly, Robbie. Sterling, Coutinho. So we've sold a lot of big players. A lot. I mean, Gerrard's left in amongst all of that as well. Let's not forget.
Yeah, but the difference is, and I think between you guys and us, is that you've sold them for big money. So when they've left, when Suarez, what did you get for Suarez again? That was
75, and that's cheap. Well. You could have got more.
75 million for Suarez.
You could have had him for 40 million plus £1 though.
Don't talk about that, right? But 75 million for Suarez. Coutinho, 100 and what was it? 120 million. I mean, that's the
145.
145 million for Coutinho. And Sterling, what was that? 50 million.
50 on the dot. Yeah, 50.
Right, so and then I look at us and the players that have left, like Sanchez left for next to nothing. Ramsey left on a free. You know what I mean? That's the difference. So you're selling these players, and even though they're big players and you don't want to lose them, but you use that money from the Coutinho thing to buy Alisson and Van Dijk. So that is self-sufficient, working perfectly, isn't it?
That's how football clubs should be run, really, isn't it? You know, don't spend money you've not got. Invest in the squad. Use your resources you've got. I mean, someone like Trent, how much do you reckon Trent is worth now?
That was over 100 million, isn't he?
So, I mean, he's cost us £0.
Even like this guy said, Mackay, he said Liverpool sold Solanke for it wasn't 40 million, was it?
I think he was 20, but we sold Jordan Ibe, Solanke, Brad Smith, who played 4 games, and one other player. I think it was Moreno or someone. We raised 100 million for those 4 players. And Jordan Ibe had never scored more than 3 Premier League goals ever, and we sold him for 15 million. That's why we keep doing so well, because we're taking the piss. We're robbing people blind. Thank you very much. We'll invest that back into the squad. Here's your rubbish player. You know, it's just that hasn't been how it's been, Robbie. Like, it's not been like that for us. And it's only
when I say blueprint, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at you guys, and I'm looking at how you've done it. And I'm saying to myself, with the way we're looking to do it at Arsenal, which is the self-sufficient way, we'd all love Stan Kroenke to put millions in.
I would love him to do that for you.
I think he should put millions in, but he's not gonna. So the only way we're going to be able to do it is in a similar way to how you do it. But there's been massive flaws because you can't run it self-sufficient. Number one, if you sell players, you've got to get money in, and we ain't been getting no money in for those players. And then, as I said, you've got to get that. And this is what I was trying to, me and Claude was having a bit of a tear up about it last night. But this is what I was saying to Claude. Stage 1, and there was other fans having a pop at me saying, oh, well, Arteta's not. Stage 1 is he's got to get the best out of the players that he's got there right now. That's what you've got.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing that. I think stage 1 he's doing that very well, but it's going to take him time. And it's not. It's good to have you on because we can see that comparison to how Liverpool have done it, because it hasn't just been an overnight.
No.
Here we are.
Do you know what? When people look back at this Klopp era so far, I mean, people look at the Champions League, the Super Cup, the incoming Premier League. It's all great. But there was some dark days, man, in the early Klopp days where even I, at one stage, genuinely, I think we lost at home to Wolves in the FA Cup. Shocking performance. And even at that stage, I was genuinely, I don't know if he's going to get the time. He has got the time, and I'm so grateful for how it's turned out. But like you say, there's going to be some dark days along the way. I did a video for the Kop TV, the best 5 academy players at Liverpool in the last 10 years. I've looked through some names. I mean, we've had some shocking players, Robbie. Really have. And like you say, even in the Klopp era, we've had some dark days. But obviously, the good days have outweighed those so far, and long may that continue. So, okay,
let's get into some comments. They're flooding in. Brilliant comments tonight. Amory says Klopp knows how to build a team. From the first 11 down to the reserve. That's why we lost against their B team in the EFL Cup. Very, very fortunate, I thought. A couple of dives went in.
Robbie, we tried to lose that for you. We didn't want to go through to the next round.
Right, that was actually a great game. It was actually a great game, to be fair.
You should have won that.
Yeah, we should have won that. Oh, my God. Kingsley says, will the Arsenal fan base be patient, though? Well, you're hearing. This is the thing. We're hearing from what Alex is saying. We're going to have to, if to build a strong team, you're going to have to be, you have to be
only if you truly believe Arteta's the one. Only if that, though.
Yeah. Ludo says, do you think, though, that your team right now is a once-in-a-lifetime side? Because now it's hard to find good players at cheap prices.
Very
I think
tough.
that's directed at you, Alex. Is it in a lifetime team to Liverpool? I think he's got a little bit lucky, is what he's kind of saying, with some of those signings. Or
yeah, well, it's luck, it's preparation meets opportunity. You can call it what you want, but we were prepared to put the money down, to pay 8 million, to pay 35 for Salah, to pay. It's all ranging different prices, but we are prepared to pay the money, and we've done the research. So yeah, I mean, it will take a while. Let's not forget, 8 years ago, we were talking about swapping Jordan Henderson for Clint Dempsey at Fulham. So things take a while, man. And geez, Henderson, for me, I mean, look, it's my wallpaper on my phone. Like I love that guy now. It takes time. It takes time.
You hated him before, don't it?
I didn't hate him. Hate's a very strong word. I'm going to say that. Get him out. I love that boy. I love that man. I love that man with my heart now.
Dr. Viraj says, hi, Robbie. Arteta's start to managerial career at Arsenal has some resemblance to Klopp's start at Liverpool, with gradual instilling of his philosophy. He still needs financial backing to succeed, and he's very right there. And Joe Walsh says, players like Henderson and Milner are the key for Klopp.
Yeah, I mean, when he says Henderson and Milner, I'm guessing what he means is the fact that they are team players and that they will die and run through a wall for Klopp. Yeah, of course. Then it's Klopp needs those type of players to perform, and someone like James Milner comes into the club at 32. He's now 37. What a servant! I mean, every single club that guy's been at, it's at least been a 4 or 5 year stint. What a professional! What a professional!
Yeah, I remember
manager, every manager would love a player like Milner and Henderson. Arsenal would love that.
I remember one time I was chatting to Ian Wright, and he said, players like Milner, you're getting. He goes, they may not be the best player in the world, but he goes, every week, minimum 7 out of 10. He goes, you can't ask for more than. He goes, minimum 7 out of 10 for.
But it's the effort, Robbie. That's what we see when we're sitting there and we're watching Henderson and Milner, especially in a live format. When you see them running around, that's why we love them so much. Because yes, they aren't the best players. Yes, they know that. But what they can guarantee you every single week is they are going to run their socks off for you, and that's unfortunately what you don't see at Arsenal. That's why we love these players, because they give us the simple guarantees that they will run through a wall and they'll give you 100%.
Yeah, and that's what we're starting to see now. But that's what we're starting to see now with Arteta.
You're starting to see it.
Mr. A says, what does Alex think of the key decision for Van Dijk and Alisson to join Liverpool? Was it Liverpool or Klopp? They rejected Man City and Chelsea.
So what you've got to remember, when we signed Klopp, we still hadn't reached the Champions League final. He was one of the key reasons for us reaching that first one. So when Van Dijk joins, to be honest, we still had Karius in goal. Lovren was playing. We weren't really firing up top a lot. Since Van Dijk's joined, and to answer his question, I think it was 50% Klopp and 50% Liverpool, and it's come together in the perfect opportunity that's presented itself in front of Van Dijk that he's grabbed. He mentioned there that he could have gone to Man City or Chelsea. He could have, absolutely. But when you sit down with Klopp and when he assures you of what he wants to make for you and build a team around you, I don't think many people, Robbie, would turn down Klopp and Liverpool. I don't think they would.
Lone Star Londoner says, Arteta and mentality. Why does the manager agree a pay cut and not all of the players do? Mentality is all or nothing. Why is that acceptable? Divisive off the field and on it. Klopp wouldn't have had that. Well, I think that's harsh. That's harsh. Player turns around like Ozil and says, I'm not doing a pay cut. What's Arteta supposed to do? Fight him.
Yeah,
this is an exceptional circumstance in that, and the fact that I think he took a pay cut before all the players. He said, "I'm taking one," and then he convinced the majority of the players to take it, which was literally everybody. Says a lot again.
But Robbie, what do you think about man talking about man's wages? Like, I don't think anyone's got any right to tell a man how he divides up his wages.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Robbie, what would you say?
Yeah, my thing on the Ozil thing, and I've said it at the time. I've said it at the time is that yes, of course, I can understand why he didn't want to, because it's not his club. It's not for him to take a pay cut. However, where I do think he went wrong is that if all your teammates are taking it, it's your team. You should take it. But you can't force someone to take it. It's a voluntary thing. They didn't force anybody. They asked them,
And does that affect what we were talking about earlier, which is Arteta changing the mentality of his players? Does that take you a step back then? If Ozil, everyone else has got a pay cut, Ozil's like, no, I ain't doing it. That for me,
that's what I said. I think that's where, what I don't like. I think everybody in that team should have just said we're taking the pay cut because the team are doing it. We're doing it as a team.
There's no individuals.
The thing is about it, Ozil will be gone at the end. There's going to be some players that we can have to wait until they leave. Ozil will be one of those players that at the end of next season, when his contract runs out, will be gone. And this is going to be the process of some players leaving that have been there for a very long time. Some players who've been very comfortable in the team for a very long time. And I think Arteta is looking to, really sort out that comfort zone that's existed at Arsenal for a very long time. Trent Singh says, tell Liverpool to stay away from Saka. You have Robertson, stop being greedy.
He's right. He's right.
You're not in for Saka, are you? Do you reckon any legs in?
I heard something about it, but we don't need Saka. He's right. If we got him, we would be greedy, 100%. We don't need Saka.
So you think it's just you don't think that's any legs in that?
Rumor mill, it's like Robbie. It's slow news right now.
Yeah, Frederick says Liverpool's leadership have showed determination and ambition from the start in 2015, while ours have been naive, ignorant, and indecisive. We're basically 4 to 5 years behind. They made a lot of mistakes, that leadership, Liverpool. I remember they put the prices up in that newsstand. That went down terribly. The people walked out. They had to reverse that. Recently, again, with the furlough thing, they had to reverse that. They have made a lot of mistakes, but the one thing they did do, I think, Klopp. And I think where your board have been good is in the way they've sold players. Yeah. When they have sold a player, they've got the money for him, They really have got the funds for him.
I think the leadership thing, there's been some very questionable decisions made by the board throughout pretty much my whole life, to be honest, man. And it's only since, it's crazy. It's almost like the stars have actually aligned, and this man called Jurgen Klopp has met us at this right time, and we've just, it's unbelievable how similar he is actually. Some of his philosophies are to, like I was saying, the forefathers of Liverpool, to Bill Shankly. He's a very social man. He's got very kind of, his ideologies are very socialistic, which is very similar to a lot of Liverpool fans. That's why, again, the Holy Trinity, Robbie. It's all about the Holy Trinity: fans, manager, player. I want to ask you something.
Very, very socialistic, furloughing staff.
Yeah, but it's not. But what I wanted to ask you, and I can help you with the answer, I think, is, in terms of, we're talking about Liverpool getting rid of the dead wood over a 4-year period, and we still got 1 or 2 names to go. If we're talking about dead wood at Arsenal, I mean, from an outsider, I could probably name about 8 or 9 players that have to go immediately if you're going to grow as a club. Off the bat.
Yeah, they won't go immediately because they've got big fat contracts, and especially now with the whole coronavirus thing. Why would you? If I'm a player and I've got a big contract, I ain't going nowhere right now because, it's such an uncertain time. But yes, I think how Arteta's going to have to do it is he's going to have to be patient. There's going to be players like Ozil, for instance, Mustafi, their contracts will be up at the end of next season. So he knows that those two will be gone. There's guys like Socrates. There's about 5 or 6 players where their contracts are coming to an end, right? So that will give him, if he's unable to move them along, which I don't think he will be able to move any of those along this summer, because, as I said, why would you want to go anywhere because players have got to want to move and teams have got to want to take them. Yeah. And these guys are on big wages. So it's going to take him. This is why I think we have to be patient with Arteta, because I think it's going to be. He needs next year, when those players have moved on, then I think we're going to start to see the emergence of what he's trying to do, the team he's trying to build, the style he wants to play, because he's got players that don't fit his style. Ozil doesn't really fit the style of what he's trying to play because he likes a high energy pressing team. Ozil's not going to press.
No way.
It's not, it's just not in his it's not in his game. He's just never ever done that. And fair play to him. He's a different type of player. But Arteta needs to get in the type of player that suits, just like with Klopp, had to get in the type of player that suited what he wanted to do.
I mean, Klopp was quite happy to let someone like Emre Can go, knowing that Gini Wijnaldum slips straight in and does a probably better job and is more of a Klopp player than Emre Can.
Yeah, he's more of a Klopp player because Emre Can, top player, but Emre Can's not a guy, again, who's going to press and work his socks off. He works hard, but he's, you know what I mean? He's not.
He was a box-to-box in his latter tenure at Liverpool, but I think looking at the Arsenal squad, I mean, if I can, I'd like to just name a couple players who I think, looking from the outside, have to go. You tell me if I'm right or what. But for me, Socrates and Luiz and Mustafi have to go.
Yeah, they will go.
They have to go
because Luiz is just on. I think Luiz will stay another season. He's on a short term. And he's sort of coming whilst we're bringing through certain players. Yeah,
he's a temporary fit.
Players will go. I think. Listen, if you look at what they're trying to do now, they're trying to build. So they're bringing in a lot of young players. They're bringing in Saliba, who's a top prospect at centre back.
Yeah, he's a good player.
They've got guys like Martinelli. You know what I mean? It's looking promising, but we need to add more quality. But at the moment, their hands are tied because they've got these guys, in particular, Ozil, who's on a huge contract, and he's not going to leave.
Years of bad business have put you in this situation, man.
That's exactly it. So this is what makes it difficult for Mikel Arteta. It's years of bad business. I just explained when we was talking about the players that you've sold and raised money with, and then I'm looking at what we've not even sold. When we've lost our best player, we've lost them for nothing or pennies. You lose Coutinho for 140 million.
To be fair, the only player that we let go in that sense that you're talking about is Emre Can. He went to Juve for free, and so did Ramsey. But in addition to those three players, so that's your defence. I think El Neni's, maybe Chambers might have to go as well if you're really going to want to compete at the top level. I think Holding's good though. So that's 4 centre backs you got to get rid of already. I'd say El Neni, has got to go. I'd say Ozil has to go.
Yep. That's a lot of players already. You know
what I mean?
Yeah. So and those players, as I said, those players will go, and a lot of them though, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until their contract runs out because they don't really have much resale on them because they're not performing. They're on high wages. So teams that are going to come in that might buy them are looking at it and thinking, well, we'll buy you, but we'll give you 30 grand a week. If you're on 90 grand a week like Mustafi, you ain't going nowhere. Yeah, you're going to say, what's he talking about? I'll stay at Arsenal for another year.
But that for me is where the mentality sets in. If you've got players that are happy to sit there and get loads of money, you have to get them out as soon as possible, Rob.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very, how do you get out a player who doesn't want to leave, and you don't have the funds? It's not like I was talking to Michael Thomas. You remember Michael Thomas, isn't it? The one that scored the goal in '89.
Liverpool legend as well. Scored in the FA Cup final for us as well, man.
Scored the goal in '89. But anyway. was chatting to him the other day, and he was talking about how when he left Arsenal, how he just got frozen out and was made to train with the kids and all that. But you can't do that no more. You can't. I mean, they tried to do it with Ozil under Emery. Ozil was just sitting there laughing at them. It's like, all right, cool. I'm earning £350,000 a week. You know what I mean? And we're not creating anything. The fans are calling for me to come back. So, it's a difficult time for Arsenal. It is a real sort of transition time. And this is where I keep saying, this is where Ozil has to, where Arteta has to get the best out of what he has for the time being. Bruno says success doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to get back to the promised land. Liverpool was all over the place in 2015, and look where they are now, competing for the Champions League and the Premier League. Nathan Roy says, Robbie, Liverpool got one of the best managers in the world when they were rebuilding, and a great board behind them. We got Arteta, who used to put the training cones out.
That's hard. You know what? Quick story about Arteta, right? So you know where I'm from, North London, yeah? So when Arteta joins Arsenal, he moves to North London, right? And I'm in the barbers, I'm getting my hair cut. Arteta comes in. I've been going to this barbers 15 years at this time, yeah? This was about 5 years ago. Arteta comes in with his kid. I mean, we all know Arteta's trim anyway. It comes like Lego. You can't really change much anyway. But he sat down next to me. You know, I'm obviously bantering him. I'm Liverpool. He played for Everton, all this stuff. We're having a chat. We're about 20 minutes in now. I've stood up, paid the barber, said, thank you again. Be back another time. And I've gone, oh, Mikel, is it all right if I just get a quick selfie? And he looked at me and went, I'm getting my hair cut. Like I didn't know that I'd just been sat with him for half an hour. And then the worst thing about it all, the barber comes and goes, Alex, can you get out, please, mate? Because I don't want you disturbing the customer. I was like, I've been coming here for 15 years. Arteta comes once, gives you a little tip, and all of a sudden, I've got to get out. Get out of here. I've never been back to that barber since. And
he needs a scouser, that's why. You know what I mean? He's like, that's what Arteta's like, I ain't taking a picture of no scouser. Jog on. You know what? I met Arteta when he was at the club, when he was playing. I met him, he was a nice guy. Really, really was a cool guy.
He is a cool guy. I'm not going to lie to you. He seems like he comes from good footballing stock. There's a picture of a very young Mikel Arteta with his arm around a very young Xabi Alonso. And they came up together. I think it was through Real Sociedad.
Yeah.
I think they came through together there, or even before that. So he's got great stock. Listen, he's worked under Guardiola. Genuinely, mate, I do hope Arsenal give him the time, because I would love to see someone like that do well. He doesn't have the experience, which is a little bit of a worry. When Klopp came in, at least he'd won, you know, the German league. He beat Bayern Munich twice, got to a Champions League final, lost that. That's the only thing with Arteta for me, is the big game experience. What experience does he draw from?
Yeah, that's true. Kadeem says, shout out to my boy from Nigeria, Kalumba. So big up them. Alex, we're going to do the last few here. We're running out of time. Time's flown today.
Yeah, man.
Table Tennis Twin says, Alex, as an outsider, what do you think about Nicolas Pepe?
If I'm honest, I was jealous when you got him. I'm not going to lie to you. 72 million, it's a lot of money. Leon did very well to get that fee. If we're talking about good business, Robbie, that's a bit of good business there. It was funny because the first game he played, was it not at Anfield, and he ran past Van Dijk?
Yeah.
When that happens, I'm thinking, oh, snap, this could be a good one. But if I'm being honest, and if you're being honest, he hasn't quite lived up to that price point yet.
Again, patience is going to...
This is it, Robbie. Like, look at Robertson for the first 6 months. Average, but now world class. Again, listen, I've got no agenda against Arsenal whatsoever. Like I said, I've got a soft spot for them because I've seen them be so successful, and they're where I'm from. Obviously, all my family from Liverpool, and I've got my ties there. But Arsenal, for me, if I had to support a London team, it would be Arsenal.
You're damn right.
I'm not going to lie to you. It would be Arsenal.
Jabing, and if I had to support a team in Liverpool, it would be Arsenal.
You're going to say Everton.
No. Jabenga says Arsenal should be able to compete at the top level. They have the potential to do that in the next 2 to 3 years. Their fans just need to stop getting ahead of themselves. Patience is the key. The problem in football nowadays, it ain't just Arsenal. There is no patience left.
What does how do
you exist no more?
There's no patience, but I do genuinely hope that Arteta breaks that mold of following the Klopp way and getting the time, because whatever you want to say about Man United, you know, they've not been patient. They have not been patient,
and that's it. They haven't, and that's been one of their problems, isn't it? They're trying to be patient now with Solskjaer, isn't it? They're trying to say, well, we're going to be patient with him.
Maybe they shouldn't be so patient. I don't know, but I'd love Arsenal to show patience. I think if you show listen, Arsenal aren't a club that get rid of managers. You aren't a club that do that. Liverpool aren't. Man United aren't.
Well, we weren't before, but we're starting to be now.
Okay, but traditionally, Arsenal have got they're a great institution of English football. You're not a chop and change kind of club, and that's what the best clubs do. They keep managers for a long time, which you and United have done so well. But I just really, really hope for your sake that Arteta gets the time if he's the one. Because if he's not the one, you need to find the one.
It's a bit like the Matrix, isn't it?
It's the Matrix, Robbie. It's like finding a perfect girl. You might find a girl who lasts for 3 or 4 years, you have a good fling, but unless she's wifey, don't even employ her in the first place.
Exactly. Last comment we're going to do is VJ says, every manager runs their course. How long do you think Klopp will stay at Liverpool? Lasted 7 years in previous clubs. Yeah. Also, Wenger was in the background of that picture.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what picture he means, but I said probably a year ago when we won the Champions League, get this man a contract as soon as possible. I was speaking about this to another Liverpool fan the other day, and we were saying, there's a lot of talk about Gerrard coming in. Listen, if Klopp in 5 years leaves and Gerrard isn't ready, we don't bring Gerrard in. Simple as that. I really do want Klopp to be our manager for as long as a Wenger or a Ferguson. I really do believe the match between Klopp and Liverpool is that strong that it could be a 15, a 20-year thing. Listen, I'm greedy because of the success we've had in the last year. I can only see one man delivering that, and that is Klopp. And we have to make sure. I mean, he's staying until 2023 for sure. And if we give him a new deal, I mean, look, sign him up for 10 years, man. He can take what money he wants. Like, I do not want that man to leave our club within the next at least 10 years, Robbie. I love that man. Love it.
A few games. Give him out.
No, that won't be me. That would be bad if he was a Liverpool fan.
Anyway, Alex, thank you very much for coming on tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you for coming on. Alex, tell them about your channel before you go there.
Yeah, so the Kop TV, we've got a fan channel there. We do, some excellent content that we're trying to push out on the channel right now. We've got a top 5 series that's coming soon. Obviously, look, I know a lot of fans on here are Arsenal fans, but you got to understand that a lot of non-Arsenal fans watch AFTV. So it would be good to get some eyes on the Kop TV. We've just started, and a long way to go. I was so happy doing the fan cams and everything, and then it all came to a very abrupt halt. Let's use my new phone mic, which I'm very excited to use. But yeah, Kop TV, we're unbiased, we're fair, and we pay respect to the big teams, much like Arsenal.
All right, enough respect. And by the way, anybody out there who wants to get involved, because what we want to do is we want to get we have some brilliant people who jump into the comments day in, day out. And I'd love to get some of you actually up onto the stream. I want to do a couple of shows where I involve some of you fans from all over the world. So if you would like to do it, if you can get in contact with AFTV content@gmail.com. So that's AFTV content@gmail.com. Give us your name, tell us where you're from. Drop a little video as well of you talking about football, yeah? Because you're going to need to...
Gotta vet these guys, man.
I don't want to bring you on and then next minute I've got to take you off because you're chatting, So do a little video, add a little video of it with you guys, just talk about a subject to do with Arsenal, right? And send that in, AFTV content@gmail.com, and we're going to get you onto the AFTV News Daily because we want to get as many people involved as possible. Alex, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you, Robbie, man. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully see you on here soon.
Definitely. And thanks, everybody. I'll see everybody back in the morning for AFTV News Daily, the early edition.